How you doing out there? My name is Dave. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Well, Happy New Year's to you. And we are in a new year, 2024. Can you believe how fast 23 went by? Oh, I can't even believe it. Well, if this is your first time listening, I'm glad you found us. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you're returning, welcome back. Happy New Year to you. And I really appreciate you listening. And I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Well, today I'm going to talk about overcoming fear. And how it's a gradual process that we must go through. However, before we do, I'll be back right after this message. Hi, this is Dave with The Last Podcast. Do you want to earn extra money from home? Or would you like to start your own home-based business helping people save money on services they're already using? Then hit me up at thelastpodcast443@gmail.com and I will share with you how so many people are starting to earn and generate an extra income from the comforts of their own home. This is Dave with The Last Podcast. We'll see you soon. All right, so we are talking about overcoming fear, right? But today's main topic is really, we're talking about clarifying or clearly defining what you are afraid of. Understanding the root cause of your fear, it could be the first step to overcoming it. Yep. So we know we need to educate ourselves. By defining what you are afraid of, it's a crucial step to overcoming fear. Here are some practical steps that you can possibly take that will help you identify and define your fears. The first one we're going to talk about is something that I brought up on previous podcasts. We're talked about self-reflection. The first thing, you have a fear of something, but you know that there's fear there, but you don't really know how to hone in on what is causing that fear. So you might need to take some time for introspection, reflect on your emotions, and try to pinpoint situations and experiences that trigger your fear. And the only way that I personally know how is by journaling. All right, so what do I mean by that? I know that some of us have a journal, like myself. I have a daily journal of what I've done for a specific day. But now it's getting harder because I've also captured another journal. I actually have three. I have a journal of what I do all day. I have a journal of fear, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But I have another journal that I talk about for my poetry and stuff like that. So I journal on that as well. But today, we're honing in on trying to understand what might be the cause of our fear in a certain situation or towards a certain thing. So if you journal about it and not just talk about, I'm afraid of this, I'm talking about trying to really be specific, like keep your fears or your thoughts, write down all that stuff, your emotions, your thoughts, how you feel, write down how it's making you feel being fearful and what caused it. What was your surrounding circumstances in that moment that you felt that way? So sometimes what it helps is if some people can have you have like a recorder on your cell phone. I don't know, but some people do. I have one where I will record a certain instance that I had. A certain instance that I had and how it made me feel and how it, sometimes we might be going through something that might be it builds anxiety for us or something like that. So you want to probably journal about it. What made you feel this way? Why it made you feel this way? What was the circumstances surrounding those moments? You want to ask yourself a bunch of questions. And if you have to give it a shovel, go ahead and get a shovel and start asking yourself a ton of questions. Dig deep. And this is yourself. If you want to really be honest with yourself, you have to be specific. You have to, and it may hurt. It may hurt. You may ask some questions that you may not even really want the answers to, but go ahead and ask those questions. Whatever fear is holding you back, you need to get rid of it or fuel it. At least if you know what's making you afraid, you can possibly use that fear as well. So that is one thing I really wanted to make sure that you got down today. You want to be able to dig into those fears and find out what are the reasons, the root causes that might be causing whatever it is for you to be fearful, right? So now you also have to, and writing down all your fears and your circumstances surrounding those fears and feelings, you want to pay close attention to your body's physical reactions towards those things. You'll know if your heart rate changes, if it goes up or down or whatever the case. Your breathing might get a little more sporadic or any other physical sensations that you might be going through. So these can help you provide clues about the nature of your fear. Discuss with other people is another way. And you can discuss, for instance, I'm going to give you a quick case in point. A while back, I used to try to figure out why I can't get past a certain point, right, in my career. And I would ask my wife. She's no longer with us. She passed away last year in April. But I would ask her, I'm having a problem getting past this point. And she would tell me, and I would ask her, what do you think I might be doing wrong? She said, I don't know what you're doing, but I could tell you what I think might be the cause of it. She said, you get to the point where you get very good and you get so successful at this point, or you're starting to build success, and then you seem to back down. It's almost as if though you are afraid to be successful. So, I grabbed that advice. I put it in a little department that I had, and I also wrote it down. And I also asked a couple of other people, one of them being my sister, who is no longer with us as well. And guess what? Both of them said the identical same thing. So sometimes if you would ask other people, other family and friends, and they may have an outside perspective that may offer you some insights that can help you articulate your fears more clearly. And I can tell you right now, listening to my sister and my wife at that time, it hurt. It was like somebody took sharp daggers and started stabbing me with them, but I understood it. I took it into consideration, and I had to start making some of the changes. And when you talk to friends and family that believe in you, love you, and are on the outside looking in, they may have a different perspective that you may not even know about. So you could go ahead and ask family and friends or co-workers or somebody who's been around you and know you, and see what they come up with. That's another great way. All right. So other things that might fall into play here too is childhood experiences. This is something that I had to dig deep into. Sometimes the fears are so rooted in our past experience that we would have to actually go way back and dig in deep, reflect on our childhood and any of the events that we had back then, and see if they contribute to how you have developed your fears. And that is something that you're going to have to dig in deep. You're going to have to use that shovel, and you're going to be like an onion. You're going to have to start peeling back some of them layers, and some of those layers may be painful, but if you hone in and get past all that, I guarantee you'll really have a good, healthy way of moving forward. So that's one thing. That's one way that you can deal with those fears. Another way is, for me, I use what is called fear inventory sheet. And I write down all my specific fears. I list them all down in numbers. And at one point, I had to put them in a spreadsheet where I list a ton of fears that I had. And then on the side, on the right-hand side, what I had to do was list why I had those fears and what causes those fears, how I felt in those fears. And guess what? I worked through quite a few of them and no longer have those fears, no longer have those anxieties. And sometimes the fear that you go through causes anxiety. So if you have a compound issue like fear and anxiety, it starts to snowball, and you, before you even do anything about it, it gets all out of hand. So if you take this month, this is the new month of 2024. You take this month and say, hey, look, I'm just going to break myself down to rebuild a new me. I'm going to overhaul myself. And this is the things that I have to do. I have some fears. I got some things in the baggage that's holding me back from moving forward. So these are the things that I'm going to take care of right now in this month. And I'm going to hone in and find out what's going on, uncover and unpackage all my fears, all my things that are holding me back, so that I can now get rid of them, clear and clean my slate and move forward. So, and let me tell you, if none of that works, the only thing I could tell you at that point is to seek professional help. If you find yourself in it's so challenging and you defining your own fears and you can't seem to get past anything, maybe it's time to seek a therapist or a counselor. I mean, they're trained to help individuals explore their emotions and help them understand what it is that they might have to do to get past them. But I tell you right now, taking these steps will help you move forward. And at first, you have to be that onion. You have to peel back all those layers. And sometimes, peeling back those layers, get rid of those. And I don't know, you've probably had time to peel back a layer, but you know how it's done. So imagine this. Imagine peeling the outside skin of an onion, and you see that sometimes you have an onion that might have blotches on it, and you just want your onion to be perfect without any blemishes or anything. So you're going to peel back the layers of skin where there are no more blemishes. But do you realize something? That onion has gotten a whole lot smaller. So imagine you peeling your onion back, and you're finding all your fears, all the traits, and all the bad habits, and you get rid of them. You work on getting rid of them. It don't happen right away. Just because you uncovered and found what it is that causes the fear, it's not going to happen right away. This sort of thing takes time. So remember that. Some psychological assessments and tools are designed to help individuals identify and quantify their fears, but you have to take your time to use those resources, understand them, and then move forward. And then if there are certain things that you have to do to get past those fears, you have to put in the work to do it. It's not going to happen on its own. And remember that identifying and defining your fears is a process. Like I said, it's going to take a ton of time, and you just have to be patient with yourself and approach the task with an open, non-judgmental mindset. So remember, these are things that we are going to talk about again on Wednesday. Wednesday we'll be back, and we'll talk about not only clarifying those, and we're going to talk about gaining knowledge about the objects and situations that triggers our fears. So be here on Wednesday and we'll get into that. But I just want you to have the foundation of moving into a point where you can find out what it is to uncover the purpose or uncover your fears. What is the main cause of those fears, so you can get into gaining knowledge about the triggers that will trigger those instances of fear. So we'll have that on Wednesday. Make sure you're here. My name is Dave. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If you want to hit me up, you could go ahead and do so at my email address, dave@thelastpodcast.info. That is dave@thelastpodcast.info. And you can send a text by sending a text to 972-284-9518. That number where you can call or text, 972-284-9518. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.